So when students first arrive at 8:30, they get to check in and meet some of our Service Saturday student leaders and sign in for their site, those types of pieces, grab some breakfast snacks to make sure they're fueled for the day. And then we usually have a speaker that comes in and will share a little bit about their experience in the community, their experience with service, or their experience as a service provider in the community, what it's been like working with student leaders. And there's usually a motivational component there to talk about the difference that you can make on a Saturday, only with 3 hours, but that matters and has some impact.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome. I appreciate you all being here. Hopefully, you'll be unthawed by the end of our morning together. Thanks for showing up and battling the cold with us. My name is Colin. I get to do Service Saturdays. This is part of my job. I get to help coordinate behind the scenes stuff. And so I'm really appreciative that we have such a big group on the first Saturday of spring of 2019, although it doesn't really feel like it today.
And then we usually frame it with some reflection, some things to send them off thinking about X, Y, and Z, right? So that you go into your service not just thinking about how I'm going to serve, but also thinking about how you can be reflective in that service.
What are you expecting out of today? So if you think about your site or different things you might be doing or different things you might be looking forward to, just think about that and maybe just what's your standard expectation when you maybe signed up a few days ago or when you walked in this morning. So if you talk to the person on your left this time, why don't you talk to the person on your right, or maybe turn around or look up front and maybe just grab somebody else, not necessarily talk to the same person. So yeah, we'll take the next 30 seconds or a minute. Thank you. Service Saturday offers that complete experience. It offers you that community feeling that you have 60 to 70 to 80 students, even on President's Day of Service, maybe 300 students or faculty or whoever it may be, all motivated to make a change in the community, all at one time and in one room and in one space, as a united front. But then, when you come back as a reflection, you can have that same feeling of community when you're still talking about their individual experiences, and you can learn to appreciate what everybody else did, and you can also share your own experiences.
That first year of incorporation, just over 3,300 food packages were given out. Last year we distributed just about 18,000 food packages. That fed, I want to say 40,000 people. It's about 40,000 people that were fed for 4 to 5 days.
And I used to scramble to find volunteers, and now when people request to help, I'm like, sorry, we're booked 6 months out, but it's a great feeling. And I know that when these students are here, we've got good help. We've got kind people doing hard work, and that it's gonna go off without a hitch. I used to have nightmares about this event, like the night before, like what is gonna go, something always goes wrong. I haven't had nightmares in years. So just, there's a sense of relief that comes from knowing that you guys are gonna be here on Saturdays, because I know the help's gonna be great and things are gonna go really well and great service is gonna be provided for our clients.
Or you might have, are they all caramel? Yeah. There you are. Have a good day.
Oftentimes you have universities that will come in and say, we have the knowledge, we have the expertise, we have this experience, and we're going to share that with you, community, right? And I think our approach is different. It's inherently Franciscan, that we say instead, what is it that you need? What is it that we can do to assist you in the good work that's already happening? We don't have the answers, but you already do. So how can we support you in meeting those questions with the answers that you already have?
The warming center is ran from November 1st to April 30th, and it is not considered a shelter, it's a warming center. So we are an overnight facility for folks to go that need a warm place to stay. And we provide dinner, we provide showers, and then we also provide a laundry facility. So this room right here is where the guests will stay. And then when they come in, we ask them kind of questions like, are you looking for assistance with housing? Like, how did you get here? Like, how can we kind of help you?
I think that just that approach in of itself teaches something really important to students, that when you go out into the world, listen, ask, engage, right? Don't assume that you have all the answers. And that, I think, is a lifelong lesson that serves students very well, no matter what they might choose to do after graduation.
For today, I'm gonna have you guys make like Nordic burritos, and then just whip some eggs, and then we can freeze them, because we don't really offer a warm meal in the morning because we don't have enough volunteers. We run off volunteers, so we have about 13 volunteers that help us run the night. So from 7 o'clock at night all the way till 8 in the morning. So like today, there were guests around helping clean. I did leave a note to ask to not clean all the way, but no one got the note, which is fine.
That's one of the ways that we get to continue that legacy on. We know that not all of our students will get to know a sister personally. Some of us have, who've been here for a while, and that's transformative. But if you can't get to know a sister personally, at least you can carry on that legacy and do the good work that's already been started. When you think about where Viterbo is located, right, in terms of the location within our city, it's intentional, right? So that we can do this service, so we can do this engagement and be a part of a neighborhood that's emerging in some really beautiful ways, but that also might be able to benefit from some of the engagement that we get to do. I think also that allows our students to grow and learn in ways that we wouldn't otherwise. So really, it's a two-way gift. There's a mutuality to that service, a reciprocity, so to speak, that I think everyone benefits. We all get to engage and learn together and value what each brings to the table.
I still vividly remember my very first one when I was just a volunteer, not a leader. It was with Sister Lucy, and we went up on the FSPA Organic Garden on the ridge, and we dug up, it was like somewhere close to 300 or 400 pounds worth of sweet potatoes, and it was just crazy, but it was so much fun because we were just driving pitchforks into the ground and just ripping them up, and it was really fun.
Okay, somebody want to grab a basket over there? And what you can do is get a
I'm eternally grateful to all my volunteers, and especially the Viterbo Service Saturday kids, because I have managed to get a lot of very special projects, like a lot of landscaping, as well as they help harvest the garden, put it to bed in the winter, open it up in the spring, and frankly, we couldn't run an acre garden without a lot of volunteers, since there's only one person really managing it.
all the way down to where there's just that little one left, because I don't want to have to harvest for another 2 weeks.
For a lot of them, it's the first time they're connecting with nature and getting their hands in dirt, and just seeing the beauty up on the ridge here. And in many respects, I think it's a spiritual experience for them. I've never had anybody from Viterbo that looked at it as, I have to do this, and that just makes it a joy.
We'll do that, and I will be back. Okay. I'm sorry? Karen will be fun to work with, I think. Don't you think she did okay today? Yeah. Welcome, Karen. There you go. All right, so I think we're set. Other than I need to go to the car and get you a few. Why don't you run to the car and get the other bag of goodies that they're.
And so one of the things I do is I have almond cookies in the greenhouse all the time, so anybody that comes to visit gets the story. And they usually walk away with a European almond cookie that they're a lot better than our cookies because they're not 100% sweet and there's no processed in them. I use almond flour and wheat flour, and all the worst thing in them is a little sugar. I should switch to honey. And we do have bees here, and the amateur beekeeper always gives me enough, so I could do that, but I'd have to play with the recipe again, and I'm not sure I want to. I'm getting old. I'm not sure I'm going to do that.
So when you first sign up for a site, you'll get an email initially that talks about, here's the site that you're going to, here's the website that talks a little bit more about it, here's some background information so you know what you're coming into, who you're serving and how you're serving, and what role they are kind of performing within the community. Then you come in, you do that service work, and you talk together with the folks that you're serving with, and then when you come back, the service questions are really related to what you just did. So they ask you to reflect on what you've just seen, what you've known, and then how you want to carry it forward. So I think there's some neat pre-work, some immediate reflection afterwards, and then some work that tells you to think a little bit about how you want to carry it forward.
You know, often we talk about when someone's volunteering, you know, it's about what you can give, but the part that we often don't talk about is what you get in return, and that's not why people volunteer, but, you know, I just hear so often, you know, I came here to serve, but really I got so much more out of it, and there's so much, you know, self-gratification and just that feeling of, I don't even know what to call it, when it just fills you up inside to know that you've done something great and you've impacted somebody's life, and then you didn't expect to feel the way that you did when you left.
To kind of share back maybe some highlights or some takeaways from the conversations you just had. I know it's kind of short, right? Kind of a couple different, jumping around in different topics, different questions, but does anyone want to share anything to the group about maybe what came out of these conversations, maybe something that you saw written down that surprised you, resonated with you, or if you want to share something that happened today, but we want to give some space for that, so let's maybe hear from 3 or 4 people and then we can wrap things up. Yeah.
Kind of going off of that one, it made me realize how thankful I am for warm clothes. Because I saw some of the people walking through the line at Wafer, and one guy had flip-flops on, and it's -degrees outside, and some people had just really thin yoga pants on, and that just made me realize how thankful I am for what I have, and even just donating some of the stuff I have, because we have so much excess already, and some of these people don't have much at all. So just thinking about that was fun.
Often I receive phone calls after the food fair, or even during the food fair, I'll get comments from people, just how grateful that they are to have the wonderful volunteers, how they're friendly and are encouraging, and I think that creates an environment that's less like a handout and more just community.
You owe it to them for being in their community as being visitors. I'm from Trumbull, but I'm still visiting in La Crosse, and I feel like I owe it to them to kind of serve them and to help do what Viterbo did for me and cultivate this city into the best city it can be.
So why Service Saturday? It's an easy way to get out into the community, get to know your neighbors, and figure out what it is that you have to give to serve the world.
Keep that good college going, that university now, and keep sending the students. I love them, and I hope it is something that they take with them the rest of their lives. I really do believe that it does impact them, even those that won't tell you it does. There's somewhere in their life it'll come back to haunt them. I don't know. If I influence them. I do have them come back, so I know that there's something that connects. And we did have volunteer marry one of the interns, so that can happen too around here. So you never know what's coming out of it. So.